Assalamu alaikum. There's one thing that happens as we get older, which is the fact that we actually need to start taking a lot better care of our health and really considering our long-term health, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of our dependents and everybody else in our life who we don't want to be unhealthy for. You know, if you're just a single guy living by yourself, you can afford to be unhealthy, but as you get older, you really do need to consider the risks of being obese, having poor health. And so today I want to give you a quick wake-up call and a reminder if you're a Muslim professional or entrepreneur who's been dealing with stress or age-related weight gain, you've been pushing really, really hard in your career or your business, but you've been struggling with either the motivation to fix it, or you've been procrastinating, or you've been trying actually, because you are a goal-oriented, driven individual, but maybe after a couple failed attempts, you haven't been as all in as you should be, and you know that you need to start taking it more seriously. This wake-up call is going to help in conjunction with the other videos that teach you the how-tos, the other motivations, all the other aspects. But I want to dive into it because this is like some serious stuff right here. So if you currently weigh just 200 pounds, right? That's not even like that heavy. I mean, at 5'9", it's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit of a higher BMI. This is going to put you in the upper limit of overweight, which puts you at a 32% higher risk of heart disease compared to somebody with a BMI of 22, 3 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than somebody with a normal BMI, which is actually very significant. That's like pretty scary if you have that running in your family as well. And I'm going to show you how if you're Pakistani or Arab, you actually have a higher risk of this happening, which a large percentage of my audience is as well. Actually, the majority of my audience falls into either of those categories, being that this is for Muslims. And then hypertension, you have a 2 times higher risk of developing high blood pressure. Now, if you're 230, your risk of heart disease at a BMI of 34, if you're 5'9", is going to increase your risk of heart disease by 67%. That's crazy. That's like closer to 100% than it is to 0%, which is crazy. And then the risk of type 2 diabetes is 5 times. Now, this is crazy because, so I'm, 6 foot, 5'11" minus the hair. And I weighed 230 at one point, so I know what it feels like to be 230. But if you're 5'9", or even if you're 6 foot, your risk, or above 6 foot, if you're 230, you're still considered obese. Like at 6 foot, 230 is considered obese, and that's how heavy I was at my heaviest. Alhamdulillah, I've been maintaining 198 to 200 for, since I started my 30s. So alhamdulillah, may Allah keep it that way. But the point being, you do need to be very careful. And again, your risk of type 2 diabetes increases by 5 times, which is crazy. You're 5 times more likely to get type 2 diabetes just by weighing 230. That's like very surprising, especially if it running in your family. Your risk may multiply to even more than that. And then, of course, when it comes to hypertension, you're more than twice as likely to suffer with high blood pressure, which leads to a higher chance of stroke and heart attack, which is crazy, especially if you know family members, possibly directly related to you, who have gone through this. It's time for a wake-up call. And then let's look at if you weigh 270, which we do get a lot of clients who are in that 270 range, closer to 270 to 230, or even higher than that. Your risk of heart disease puts you in the severe obesity category and increases your risk of heart disease by 90% or more. So if you're like in your 30s, 40s, 50s right now, and you are coming up on that weight, or maybe you're only 230, but you know that if you don't change something, you're going to end up being 270. This is extremely scary. This is extremely risky. Your risk of diabetes is 7 times more likely for type 2 diabetes than, a person with a normal BMI. And your risk of hypertension is even more significant than it was at 230. So maybe you start, like everybody who weighs 270 started or was at some point 230 and they just kept gaining. So if you're 230 right now, it could get a lot worse. If you're 200 right now, it could get a lot worse. It's getting worse year after year. So it's time to make a change because there's a chronic compounding effect. And every year it becomes harder too because stress and age-related weight gain, you're not getting any younger. You're not getting any less stressed. Okay, maybe when your kids are growing up, but by then you're going to be a lot older. So it's going to mitigate that. And it's going to be like by the time your kids don't really need you as much, they're going to need you to be healthy, okay? So take care of your health now because when you're too old, it's not that it's too late. It's just exponentially harder. And you've already seen that. It's way harder to get fit now than it was in your 20s or your teens. Maybe you were fit by accident back then. So we need to be very mindful about this. Now, next up, I want to go even further, though, because if you're Pakistani, which I think I ran a statistic that 70% of either my audience or my clients, I'm pretty sure it's my clients, are Pakistani, which means that if you're a part of my audience, you probably mirror that statistic, which means there's about a 70% chance if you're listening to this that you are South Asian, Pakistani, Bengali, Indian. And this is actually, I believe, a statistic for South Asians, right? You're at a significantly higher risk of heart disease as well compared to the general population. South Asians, and actually in this study it says South Asian women, but the same could apply to men. In fact, men are more likely to get these conditions than women are anyways, so it's even worse. South Asians have a 65% higher risk of dying early from heart disease than the general population. You combine that with severe obesity, which already puts you at 90% higher, you're at an insanely high risk, and may Allah protect you, and may Allah make this a means to fix your problem. In addition to that, Pakistanis and other South Asians are 5 to 6 times more likely as a baseline to develop type 2 diabetes than Caucasians. And you've probably seen this in your family if you're South Asian. And so this is crazy because if you think about it, if you're already at twice the risk and now you're 5 to 6 times more likely, you're at 10 to 12 times higher risk of getting type 2 diabetes and all the consequences come with that. Low testosterone, poor energy levels, not being able to eat and enjoy food, and same thing with like fasting without having severe risk of getting your foot cut off. There's so many side effects that come with this and type 2 diabetes and the associated metabolic conditions that you really need to do something about it, and it only gets worse unless you fix it, okay? And again, there's a combination. There's genetic predisposition, lifestyle factors, dietary habits, but again, if you have that genetic predisposition, then you need to fix this now. And I have actually the statistics for both Pakistani origin and Arabic origin, where if you're Pakistani, you have a 1.5 to 2 times higher risk of heart disease compared to Caucasians due to a combination of factors. Again, 5 to 6 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes compared to Caucasians. 2 to 2.5 times higher chance as a Pakistani compared to Caucasians of getting hypertension, high blood pressure, which significantly increases your overall risk for cardiovascular diseases and for heart complications, stroke, everything else. And we hear about this happening, maybe you have friends, elders, or even people your age who are just dropping like flies, older siblings, everything. So this isn't just a reminder for you. This is a reminder for your entire community. This is a reminder to be a leader and take charge for your family, to teach them better and to set a better precedent for your kids as opposed to the precedent that you were given from your parents. And may Allah bless your parents for everything good that they've done for you. So let's take the good and let's leave the bad when it comes to food habits, a lack of emphasis on exercise and health. And this is the big change I want to make in this ummah. We're going to talk about that in a second as well, inshallah. And of course, if you're of Arabic origin, which I'm half Pakistani, and I say half Algerian, just keep it simple, but technically 3/8 Algerian, 1/8 French. But the point being, I'm half Pakistani, half Arab is kind of the way I like to see it. So if you're of Arabic origin, then your risk of heart disease is 20 to 50% higher compared to Caucasians due to a combination of factors. You're 2 to 3 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than Caucasians, and you're at about a 30 to 40% higher risk of hypertension compared to Caucasians, which again, all these things have complications with all these other issues: type 2 diabetes, heart attacks, cardiovascular issues, getting winded going up the stairs, poor blood flow, poor energy levels, low testosterone, and the cascade of effects that happen from that. There are just so many risks that you're putting yourself and exposing yourself to. And Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah not to do destruction to ourselves by our own hands in the context of wealth. But I like to apply that mindset to health as well, because if that wisdom from Allah is beneficial to our wealth, then we should apply that same beneficial wisdom to our health for the sake of Allah and taking care of this beautiful body that He gave us, this functional organism, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 feet. You wouldn't lose an arm. You wouldn't sell your arm for $1 million. So really, you got $2 million just in your hands, let alone your eyes, your feet, everything else. So put the value that this body deserves, because at the end of the day, if you do it for the sake of pleasing Allah, you get good deeds and you get barakah in this life as well, because you have more energy. You can do more ibadah and your health is better and you pass better habits and better role model to your kids, and you just have better energy and better mood around your kids, your family, your work is better. You make more money in this business that you're trying so hard to build, or your career that you're trying so hard to deal with. You can better handle these things. You're more efficient. You show up as a better version of you with your patients or your clients, with your employees, your coworkers, with whoever else it may be who you want to show up to. So there's a reminder all the time that being fit only helps you in all these areas. You just need to stop being lazy about it. You're already a disciplined individual in every other area of your life. So apply it to fitness and see the other video I did just yesterday, actually, about how to apply the discipline you have in other areas to the discipline that you have inside of your fitness by some of the same skill sets and mindsets we can easily apply, because you're already a driven man. So all you need to do is be driven when it comes to your fitness as well, inshallah. And then, of course, making it realistic, which I have the video I did before that is about a realistic, stricter diet plan. But then we have plenty of videos on like easy, small modifications you can make to dramatically, inshallah, improve your health and your weight, especially if your condition is very dire right now. And so what is my intention with sharing all this information with you, right? Transparently speaking, my goal is to scare you into doing something about it, because if telling you the benefits of being fit isn't enough to make you change, then I got to tell you the risks that you're associating yourself with. And I got to tell you that this is not going to get better on its own, because if you make dua, you still need to take action, right? Like, Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam, he made dua to Allah, and Allah commanded him to strike the ground, so the spring came up that cured his condition, right? Likewise, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, he didn't know what was going to solve, the condition, or what was going to say, how Allah was going to save him from Pharaoh, but he had the yaqeen, right? He had the certainty, he had the tawakkul, he had the trust in Allah, and he made dua. He always asked Allah for help. Allah tells us in the Quran to ask Him for help with everything, right? So again, we can't just be sitting there and just, but at the same time with this, we also need to take action to back that up and take the necessary means. So very, very important. Don't put yourself in unnecessary risk. The condition you're currently in is qadr Allah, but Allah also decreed that you'd be seeing this video, perhaps as an answer to your du'as for better health, to encourage you to take the right education and action to fix it, instead of just sitting on the couch eating Twinkies and biryani and gulab jamun or whatever else you're eating. And, there's so many cultural foods, I'm not going to list all of them, but you guys get the idea, right? So Allah is giving you this video as a sign, as guidance. There's many reasons beyond what I can even comprehend as a human being as to why Allah would have made it that you're watching or listening to this video right now. But just like how if you see a speed limit sign, but you ignore it and you keep speeding and then you get a consequence, which is a ticket, likewise, if you see these signs, you see this inspiration, you see the education I'm sharing with you in all the other videos, but you aren't doing something about it, then you're accountable for the consequence, which is all these diseases that I just gave you real statistics for your risk factor of, as far as heart attack, diabetes, having low energy, having low testosterone, how that's going to affect your relationship, and how that's going to affect just everything, right? There are so many effects of this. It directly affects your career and your family life, which are the two things that may be the reason why you got so busy and gained all this weight over the last couple of years. But you know what? We can fix it, In Shaa Allah. And remember that Jabir radiallahu anhu reported that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, every disease has a cure. If a cure is applied to the disease, it is relieved by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sahih Muslim 2204. So again, the cure to this disease, yeah, you can take black seed oil and all that stuff, but you got to do your diet too, and you got to do your exercise too. I'm going to teach you how to do it in a practical way, like I do in all the other videos, but diet and exercise is the solution to this disease. And so, yes, take your black seed oil and whatever else you've been taking, do your fasting, although I'm going to teach you some strategies and some people who fasting is actually counterproductive for in the beginning until we get your metabolism healthy, etc., etc. But the point being, apply the cure to the disease, have faith in Allah, take action, make dua, and In Shaa Allah, bi'idhnillah, Allah will cure your condition. You'll be able to lose the weight, just like all the stories and success stories that you've seen of guys just like you with more kids, who are older than you, who work more than you, who despite all those factors, were still able to achieve the success, alhamdulillah, by the permission of Allah, and may Allah continue to use me to help all these brothers. And that is kind of the next point, is that my mission is to solve this for you and your progeny by the permission of Allah, just like how we have done for hundreds of others. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Munir Lazuni, and alhamdulillah, over the last decade I've been fitness coaching, actually longer than that if you count before I got my certifications and whatnot. But alhamdulillah, we've helped hundreds of people. I've worked with over 1,000 clients the last 2.5 years. We've been working with Muslims specifically, and helped hundreds of Muslims, including dozens of testimonials that you see from Muslim brothers who are super busy, everything else. All the other factors and obstacles that you face, we've overcome them for all the other brothers, which is why I want to share the strategies, the motivation, the inspiration, the success stories with you, to inspire and educate you, and to ultimately help you, In Shaa Allah, by the permission of Allah. And on top of that, the big thing is that this isn't just helping you, this is helping your family, because you're the head of your household. And if we can change your life, we can change, In Shaa Allah, bi'idhnillah, this ripple effect for not just your kids, but their kids. And inshallah, there's a sadaqah jariyah if we do this for the sake of Allah, to take care of the body He gave us, to have more energy so that we can do more ibadah and make more money and provide better for the ummah, fund the da'wah, build the masajid, donate to those in need, and ultimately spread the deen and propagate the deen. And of course, be the best Muslims we can be in this life and the next. So again, that is the mission. That's who I am. That's what we've done. I myself can relate. When I first, alhamdulillah, my fitness business really took off. I got so busy. I was working 12 to 16 hours a day. Got obese myself. That's when I was 230. That's where I had to learn how to lose it, not just with surface level strategies that every other fitness trainer can share with you, but with the in-depth stuff that's specific to a Muslim business owner and father. Alhamdulillah, I'm a dad as well. So this is another factor. I understand what it's like to have kids who need you, especially young kids who they always need something, right? So alhamdulillah for our children. May Allah bless and protect them, and may Allah make them not an obstacle for us, but rather a reason for us to see this success and be healthy for them, so we can see our grandkids, so we can see our daughters get married off, etc. And so if you're watching this right now, I have two different types of next steps for you, and you can do both. But essentially, the first next step is that if you want to take charge, you're considering signing up for coaching, you want me to grab you by the hand, hold you accountable, do all the nutrition aspects for you, make all the adjustments for you, troubleshoot if you hit a plateau, use all of my expertise, just like how I've done for all these other clients who you see on my page, everything else, then the link is in the description to learn more about the coaching, to book a consultation with either myself or a member of our team. And inshallah, if it ends up being a great fit, move forward and truly get these results. Guaranteed, just like how you've seen, not just the average results that for some of our other clients, but hopefully exceptional results if you show up as an exceptional individual and truly commit to the program. Now, if you aren't ready to look into if you're not ready to commit, or maybe you're not even ready to even consider coaching, well, what you can do is you can check out the following videos. if you're somebody who kind of needs to ease into your fitness journey because you're pretty brand new to this stuff and you're like, hey, you know what, I can't commit to one of these, really strict plans. That's part of why I failed in the past. And by the way, my strict protocol, which I talk about in the most recent video, is very realistic in comparison with most strict protocols. The only thing I'm tightly controlling is the variables, but the recipes are still amazing, everything else. So it's very practical and realistic and sustainable with your schedule. It's all custom to you, everything else. But that being said, some people, like I have a client, mashallah, he's a surgeon and he has 6 kids. So he kind of had to ease into the nutrition even though he went all in with the exercise, and that's totally fine. Likewise, some go all in with nutrition first and they ease into the exercise. So there's different protocols. And so if you need to ease into things, what you could do is you could check out my workouts for beginners videos, but also, so I have those, but I also have this nutrition for beginners, how to make little small changes that will make a big difference. So check that out. If you want something stricter, you can go here and inshallah check out my strict but realistic diet plan, plus my unlimited motivation framework to ensure that you follow through, inshallah. So inshallah, I'll see you in those videos, and I hope that this reminder was helpful. Share with a friend, and I'll see you in the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.